you do not feel like an imposter because you've really started to appreciate the steps. It shows up because you are pushing yourself. You are doing something new. And it is in these empowering statements that we can inflect the true reality. You probably have unlocked something you haven't unlocked before. That's why it comes up. If you're watching this video right now, I bet you're a go-getter. So in this moment and time, I really would like to challenge you to start thinking of imposter syndrome not as something you need to fear or let stop you. In fact, I would love for you to start expecting it. I will explain that later. I'm going to be sharing 4 actionable steps you can do or practice the moment you feel like it's coming up. These steps have really helped me walk through these feelings when they come, and they've helped me just try to move on from it. First, let us understand imposter syndrome. Where did it come from? And was it something we've always experienced? It was first identified in 1978 by clinical psychologists Paul Rose-Clent and Susan Imers. They studied high-achieving women who, despite their accomplishments, felt like fraud and tied their successes to sheer luck. Does this sound familiar yet? Imposter syndrome is feeling like it is just good luck that has made you achieve what you have now, a stroke of fortune, and not as a result of your own hard work or efforts. It's quite common in high-achieving individuals, which is why a lot of people who are driven have felt it. Now, it is understood as a psychological pattern that is not rooted in reality, but in your own perception or belief. What that means is it is not something that we can diagnose psychologically, but it has to do with the mindset, behavior, or pattern. Now, if it's a pattern or mindset, and it is not based in reality, then it is based in our self-perception. What that means is we need to focus on that and we need to question it. That means we have control over altering what that is because it is something that is within us. So right now, I would love to get vulnerable with this guys. I want to share a very recent moment of imposter syndrome that I've had. And I hope you guys can relate it to an experience you've either had in the past or maybe you are going through it now. So I'll never forget when I first started planning my YouTube channel, Unfolding Amaka. Yeah, I was excited, but deep down, I kept questioning myself, am I really qualified to do this? Do I have enough value to offer? What if I'm just another voice in the crowd? Now, even though I have built brands, worked in crypto, and navigated through different industries, I still felt this nagging doubt, like I needed some kind of official validation before I step into the space. I would watch other creators who seem to have it all figured out, the perfect delivery, massive audience, years of experience, and I started comparing myself. I told myself maybe I needed to learn more first, or achieve more before I can speak on certain topics. And that's where I realized that is exactly how imposter syndrome works. It makes you feel like you are not enough no matter how much you've actually done. The truth is, I do not have to be perfect in order to be impactful. My experiences are valid. My journey is valuable. And if I wait until I'm ready, I just might never start. So instead of letting self-doubt control me, I decided to lean into it. I decided to start this journey because the only way I can truly own my voice is to use it. Imposter syndrome blinds you to the reality of your hard work because it is rooted in fear, self-doubt, and not facts. What I want you to take home from this is that imposter syndrome does not show up because you're just sitting there relaxing, flexing, feeling unbothered. It shows up because you are pushing yourself. You are doing something new. You probably have unlocked something you haven't unlocked before. That's why it comes up. If you recall, I said in the beginning of this video that I want you to start expecting imposter syndrome. It is one thing that I myself have started implementing. I expect it would come up, and when it does not throw me off balance. It doesn't take me by surprise. I say to myself, I expected this because I pushed myself out of my comfort zone. You have to change your mindset, just such that it is no longer you are not good enough, you are not where you are not supposed to be or where you are supposed to be. But actually, it is, hey, you are pushing yourself, you are growing, and you've unlocked a new level. So this simple mindset shift has been the foundation that has helped me change my relationship with it. Now, there are 4 steps that you can activate when you start to feel the imposter syndrome kicking. I don't want to sit here and promise you that you would never experience it again, because first of all, I haven't really worked out a way to do that, right? But I also think it is really not practical, because if you understand the mechanics of what going on behind it, it is those feelings of us being out of our comfort zone. And our brain just goes, hey, we are not safe, sound the alarm bells, right? It comes up when we get that email that stresses us out, when we are about to go on the stage, host a podcast, close out a huge deal, or even when we're about to start something totally new, or get a new job, enter a new environment, or something within those works. Its base layer function is actually safety. So when you understand that that's what's going on and not a case of you not being worthy to be where you are, then it starts to help you have a little bit more patience and acceptance with it, and almost even expecting it, because your brain is wired to protect you and keep you safe. So being out of your comfort zone by definition is going against that. But it does not mean you have to stick there. There are 4 actionable things you can do when you see imposter syndrome creep in. Step 1 would be identifying your perception. If you go back to my example, my perception was that starting a YouTube channel and being successful in it was hardly possible, because I felt I would just be another voice and not actually make any difference, and that no one would subscribe to my channel. This was my perception, and it was all in my head, fueling this imposter syndrome. And that imposter syndrome was based on that perception. So you have to work out what's going on in your head, how you are feeling, thinking about the situation, and just be real with yourself. There is no judgment required here. You just need to be open, right? You need to see where your perception is to be able to change it. Step 2, ask yourself, what is the reality of the situation? Did you actually just start your tax yesterday and have an overnight success? Was it just sheer luck what has happened to you? Or have you poured years of hard work into what you're doing, and now it is finally yielding results? Finally, the byproduct of you being consistent and hardworking is showing up. This is your reality of what happens when you are consistent. Look at the feedbacks you get from your clients, your customers, your boss, your colleagues, your family. Look at the reality of what is happening. If you are still watching, do not forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification button. Let's get back to the steps. Step 3, reframe your story. It is about taking that imposter syndrome, which is now known is based on self-perception, and let's reground it into the reality of a situation. So it's no longer a case of this is happening by accident, I'm not supposed to be here. But then it becomes a case of I feel this way because I have stepped out of my comfort zone. There's a reality that comes into that, which is I have worked so hard for this. I have learned so much to get here. I have done my research. I have done my homework. I have been consistent. I have so much value to give, and it is in these empowering statements that we can inflect the true reality and not your perception, which might be based on those primal reactive emotions that comes up. The last step, which is something that is a game changer and has helped me enjoy the process and the progress, and it has changed how I view these milestones and new beginnings, is to celebrate. Find a way to celebrate your milestones and beginnings. Say you have a year goal, for instance. Every time you've reached the goal you've set up, a quarter as you go to that goal, celebrate that, because often we wait until the year ends and then we get to that one big shining goals, and before you know, time flies, we set another goal and the cycle repeats. It does not have to be a huge grand gesture like going for a holiday or doing something extravagant. It might just be taking yourself out for a dinner or giving yourself the day off to take a moment to reflect on what the journey has been like. It is grounding yourself in this moment that helps you appreciate the extent to which you are actually accomplished. Now, what that does is it helps you build moments of gratitude as you achieve things. So you do not feel like an imposter because you've really started to appreciate the steps, right? You would not get to the end of the year and feel like the year just went by, because now you can feel the hard work, you feel the effort, because you've actually started to acknowledge it. So celebrate your wins. This is how I have been able to walk through my imposter syndrome. And this is not me telling you that I have overcome it. It keeps coming up because I continuously push myself out of my comfort zone. So my change in perspective is to expect it, have a 4-step plan to work through it, and to reground myself. It has really changed the way I feel about it and the way it impacts me or doesn't impact my life. I would love to know in the comments below what you guys think about the step process. Is it something you would try to implement? Is the imposter syndrome something you are dealing with right now? Or is it something that comes up sometimes, on and off, I would love to know your thoughts. That's it for me today, guys. Do not forget to like, tap on the notification bell, and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, break boundaries.